Welcome back to Capitol Review. I'm Mark Hall. The midterm elections will have a major impact on the country at the midway point of President Trump's second term. Both sides saying publicly that a lot is at stake. We continue our discussion with Republican Colin Reed and Democrat Ashwani Jain. Colin, voter ID laws are under the spotlight as we get closer to November. Your thoughts?
Well, voter ID laws are something that's supported by like 80% of America, including 70% of Democrats, including back in the day, former Minority Leader Chuck Schumer was a vocal supporter of voter ID, as were many other Democrats. So this idea that it's become this political football is one that the majority of the Democrats are on the wrong side of as far as public opinion is concerned. And two, it's just something that makes a whole lot of common sense to a lot of people. So it's unclear why this has become such the political lightning rod it is, but it's one of those issues where the party as a whole is on the wrong side as far as where public opinion is.
Ashwani, Democrats clearly feel different.
Well, if you look at the details, the SAVE Act would not allow us to vote with our state IDs, but rather require a birth certificate or a passport to vote. That's what most people don't understand. We already have multiple layers of verification, including registration checks, signature matching, and even audits. And adding stricter ID requirements does not fix anything because there's no evidence of widespread in-person voter fraud to begin with. If election integrity were truly the goal, we would not be focused on this, not be making it harder for people to vote, and also not trying to nationalize elections like the president also wants.
Ashwani, let's stay with you. President Obama recently coming out saying that maybe Democrats should go younger because they're more plugged into current events. Were you surprised by that?
No, because he's always advocated for more young people to get involved in politics. That's how I started working for him. But ultimately, I would say it's not about age per se. It's about defending a status quo mindset. Polling and research from Gallup and others show that a majority of voters across blue, purple, and even red states support progressive policies like a Medicare for all, living wages, or global human rights. But as I write about in Project 2027, we have too many in the Democratic establishment who shy away from those issues. And that's the problem. And until that changes, our voters are going to stay home.
Colin, your reaction to President Obama's remarks?
Well, setting aside the news he made apparently about the existence of aliens, which we can get to if you want, Mark, but the point that he really made is every time a former president like President Obama steps back into the national stage, he commands the national stage because there's just a complete lack of leadership right now of leaders below him. And when he steps out there and basically says what he said, it prevents any of these would-be leaders from having a chance to come up and grow. It's like a large tree blocking out all the sunlight for everybody else. But if President Obama is saying he's too old for politics, then Gavin Newsom, Kamala Harris, they're all about the same age. So I'm not sure what that says about the future of the party.
Colin, so much can happen between now and the November midterms. Does President Trump need to have a great State of the Union address coming up this week?
Totally helpful, but ultimately the Republican Party's bet hasn't really changed going into the midterms, which is they have implemented policies that they've supported and the other party has opposed, that they believe the economy will improve the economy, make people feel better about their financial well-being. If that happens, the midterms will look dramatically different than they do right now. But every Republican who's being honest with you knows they're sailing into a challenging environment. Midterm elections are always difficult for the party in charge, and everyone is doing their best to buckle up and batten down the hatches.
Ashwani, Abigail Spanberger, the governor of Virginia, will give the rebuttal. What are you expecting from her?
Well, I hope she reminds Americans that President Trump has repeatedly attacked democratic institutions, from attacking the rule of law, encouraging political violence, alienating our allies, hiding the Epstein files, threatening to jail journalists, and even allowing ICE to kill U.S. citizens with no accountability. And I also hope she reminds people that according to Trump's own Department of Labor, prices for groceries, healthcare, and even utility bills were higher at the end of 2025 than they were at the end of 2024. And they're projected to be even higher this year. That's all happening under President Trump and his failed leadership. Voters feel it, and I hope she addresses that.
Ashwani Jain, Colin Reed, I thank you both for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.